Monsignor Schneider dares to correct the Pope with love, but it is Father Charles T. Murr who raises the alarm. The crisis is too deep, and the only way out is a new council. Not one of compromise, but a council that tells the truth, restores order, and truly calls to holiness. If you love the Church, you must watch this video to the end. In a frank and passionate conversation, Dr. Charles T. Murr forcefully and lucidly addressed some of the most serious issues afflicting the Catholic Church today. We start from a merciless but necessary reflection. Who really has the courage to speak? The world repeats that everything is permitted, but Christ never gave room for compromise. It is in this scenario that the words of Bishop Athanasius Schneider resonate like an alarm bell, a voice that, despite the sweetness of the expression, firmly admonishes the successor of Peter. We must be faithful to Christ, his every declaration seems to shout. And this is precisely the crux. Is it truly an act of love, that of someone who corrects his brother when he is making a mistake, even if that brother is the Pope himself? Yes, it is. And it is with strength, with charity, but also with truth. We can no longer be content with diplomatic silence. History teaches us. In the time of Henry VIII, only one bishop in England, St. John Fisher, remained faithful to the Church, while the others changed sides overnight. Catholics on Thursday, Protestants on Friday. Nothing new under the sun. Today we ask ourselves, is there really no one who raises his voice? Who says, with the frankness of the saints, enough? We prefer to call it prudence. But, as has been said, in a brutal but true way, it is not prudence, it is cowardice. That is the right name. This is the tragedy. The fear of losing privileges has paralyzed courage. And even if there are some bishops, faithful and determined, many remain hidden, as if the truth could only be told in a whisper. Episodes are told that seem to come from a Gothic novel, but instead they are news, a very harsh ecclesial reality. An emblematic case occurred in a diocese in Mexico. The name is not mentioned, but the facts speak loudly. A holy bishop, a true shepherd of souls, dared to confront one of his priests who was openly living with a woman, in flagrant violation of his priestly vows. He told him to his face, "This cannot continue. Either you leave this woman and go back to living as a real priest, or you are out." Clear, right, evangelical words. The answer? An internal revolt. That priest, instead of repenting, gathered other priests in the same situation. There were many. They threatened the bishop with death. They forced that man of God to flee his diocese. For 2 or 3 years, he lived in exile, chased by his own priests. It seems impossible, but it happened. Not in the Middle Ages, not in a novel. It happened in our time. And here we are not dealing with folkloristic anecdotes, but with signs of a profound illness, silent apostasy. Not the one that is proclaimed out loud, but the one that is lived in daily practice, in moral compromises, in the loss of faith and shame. And it is understandable, then, why certain priests applaud the liturgical innovations. We no longer believe that anything happens at the altar. It is the Mass that consoles the conscience of those who no longer truly believe. And in this chaos, we return to talk about true saints. San Carlo Borromeo did not preach reform from the pulpit of a palace. He embodied it. Noble, powerful, Vatican Secretary of State, he could have lived like a prince. He chose to be a servant. He sent away his 100 servants, keeping just a few. He went on foot to visit the most remote villages where he died of the epidemic. He reformed his priests by showing himself to be the first penitent. He said, "If I do not live what I preach, how can I ask my priests to do it?" And it is precisely by looking at these examples that one understands how the current crisis is not a simple, temporary stumble, but a true collapse of consciences. Father Murr, with almost 50 years of ministry behind him, said it bluntly, "Many of us have lost our faith. We continue to do what we do, but inside it is empty." It is a serious, devastating, but necessary confession, because as long as we continue to cover up the rottenness with pastoral formulas and clerical smiles, nothing will change. We have become accustomed to decline, to spiritual mediocrity. Many priests are content to be administrators of sacraments, officials of worship, employees of the diocese. But the church is not a company, and the priest is not a manager. He is a man chosen to be another Christ. And when this is forgotten, everything collapses. This is why evil spreads, because those who should stop it have stopped fighting it. Modern liturgy, so much praised for its openness, has often ended up being an outlet for sedated consciences. It is said that it speaks to the people, but the people do not ask for empty words. He asks for truth, he asks for mystery, he asks for God. And instead, we find ourselves faced with empty celebrations, where faith itself seems optional. The external change has coincided, for many, with an internal change. If the Mass is no longer a sacrifice, then it doesn't matter how I live. But it does matter. This is why, in the chaos, we return to the saints, not to ideologies, not to synods, to the saints, people who have given up everything to serve Christ in truth. People like St. Charles Borromeo, who knew how to transform power into service, nobility into humility, prestige into sacrifice. And he showed, without shouting it, that the church can be reformed, but only with the cross, not with conferences. And then we come to the crucial point, the one that no one wants to say, but that everyone in their hearts knows. This situation cannot go on. We can no longer pretend that everything is fine, that these are just transition times, that the people must be accompanied. No, the people must be guided, and to do that we need pastors, not psychologists. We need a voice that says clearly, enough. It is time to put things in order. And to do that, we will need something immense, a new council. Harsh words, perhaps, but realistic. Because as it is, the church is a boat, taking on water from all sides. It is not enough to plug a few holes. We need to rebuild the foundations. We will need a council that calls everyone, from the Pope to the last altar boy, to the true Catholic identity, that of the cross, of doctrine, of holiness. A council that does not seek the applause of the world, but the gaze of God. A council that is not a compromise between 1,000 ideological demands, but a clear, decisive return to the integral gospel. Yes, because Vatican II, and it must be said, with respect but without hypocrisy, wanted to call to sainthood, yes, but did not have the strength to impose it. John XXIII was animated by sincere intentions. He wanted a poor, penitent church centered on Christ. But he did not know who he was dealing with. He underestimated the internal forces, the encrusted clericalisms, the underground ambitions. And as soon as he died, whatever good he wanted was lost among commissions, liturgical revolutions, and doctrinal ambiguities. But now time is running out. Souls are being lost, and the numbers scream it. Churches are emptying. Vocations are collapsing. Faith is disappearing. And in all this, we continue to talk about inclusion, dialogue, synodal processes. But when the house burns, you don't organize work tables. You take the fire extinguisher, and the only fire extinguisher today is holiness, the true one, the one that comes from sacrifice, from silence, from adoration, from the courage to say no when everyone says yes. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment, Amen. God bless you.